Here's a long-form story draft for your YouTube video, structured with emotional flow challenges and an inspiring resolution. I'll write it in a way that keeps viewers hooked and stays at the right pace for a 5,000-word narration. Poor girl was sent instead of her sister on a blind date. The single dad CEO didn't let her leave. It was supposed to be her sister's night. Clara adjusted the hem of her faded dress, tugging at the stubborn fabric as if it would suddenly transform into the kind of gown her sister would have worn. Her sister Rachel had the charm, the wardrobe, and the smile that made people's eyes light up. Clara, she had responsibilities. Bills stacked high on the kitchen counter, a waitressing job that kept her on her feet until midnight, and a heart that had learned to expect very little. But when Rachel begged her that morning, tears and excuses rolling together. "Please, Clara, just go for me." "I can't face him, not today." "You don't understand how important this is." Clara had found herself nodding. So here she was, walking into one of the most expensive restaurants in the city, pretending to be the sister who'd always overshadowed her. The first thing she noticed wasn't the chandeliers, or the glittering crowd, or even the way her shoes felt completely out of place on the polished marble floors. It was him. At the far end of the room, a man sat alone, broad-shouldered, in a dark suit tailored so perfectly it looked like it belonged only to him. His face was striking, handsome, yes, but with something sharper, something that told her he had lived through storms and built walls to survive them. His eyes lifted, met hers, and for one terrifying second, Clara thought about running. But her sister's voice echoed in her mind, and she forced her trembling legs forward. "Rachel." His voice was low, smooth, but with an edge that warned he didn't waste time on games. Clara swallowed.
"Yes,"
she whispered, praying he wouldn't notice the lie shaking in her throat. He studied her, as though peeling back every layer of her soul. Then, to her surprise, his features softened. "I wasn't sure you'd come." His name was Adrian Cole, CEO of Cole Enterprises, widower. Father of a little girl named Lily. The details trickled out over dinner, but Clara hardly heard them. She was too busy trying not to reveal the truth. That she wasn't her sister. That she didn't belong at this table. That she couldn't afford even a sip of the wine he ordered. But Adrian seemed different. Yes, powerful, yes, intimidating. But when the conversation turned to his daughter, his whole being shifted. His eyes warmed. His voice gentled. And Clara, against her better judgment, found herself leaning in. When the evening drew to a close, she stood quickly.
"Thank you, Mr. Cole, I should."
But he cut her off. "Stay, just a little longer. You're different from what I expected, and I don't want this night to end yet." Her heart stumbled. Different. If only he knew how different. That night was only the beginning. Rachel never followed up. Instead, Clara found herself receiving messages, invitations, gentle persistence from the man who was supposed to meet her sister. Each time, she wanted to confess. Each time, she wanted to run. But each time, she found herself saying yes. Because with Adrian, she wasn't just Rachel's stand-in. She was seen. And then came the moment that changed everything, when she met Lily. The little girl with bright eyes and untamed curls tugged at Clara's hand, as if they'd known each other forever. And Clara, who had always been the caretaker in her own fractured family, felt her heart open in ways she didn't know it could. But secrets have a way of clawing to the surface. Rachel returned one afternoon furious. "You stole him. Do you realize who he is, Clara? A CEO. A billionaire. You had no right to go back after that night." Clara's lips trembled. "I never meant to. But he doesn't know. He thinks I'm you." Rachel's smirk cut deep. "And when he finds out, you'll be nothing but the poor waitress who tricked him. Do you think a man like Adrian Cole will forgive that?" The words lodged in Clara's chest like thorns. The breaking point came when Adrian himself discovered the truth. It wasn't Rachel who told him. It was Lily. Innocent, sweet Lily, who'd overheard Clara's sister shouting, "Daddy, why does Miss Clara have a different name?" The silence that followed was unbearable. Adrian's face, hard as stone. Clara's tears unstoppable. "I'm sorry," she whispered, voice cracking. "I never wanted to deceive you. I didn't want that night to be wasted for you. And then, I couldn't stay away. You were the first person who made me feel like I wasn't invisible. The days that followed were the darkest. Adrian pulled away. Calls unanswered. Doors closed. Clara went back to her old life, emptier than before. But love, the kind that's real, doesn't vanish under the weight of mistakes. It was Lily who bridged the distance. She begged her father, "Don't let her go. She loves us." I know it. Adrian wrestled with anger, pride, and something deeper, fear of being betrayed again. But in the quiet of his soul, he knew the truth: Clara's honesty in the end, her care for his daughter. Her gentleness, none of it was a lie. He found her back at the diner where she worked, wiping tables with wary hands. "Clara." She froze, looked up. Tears filled her eyes before she could stop them. "I don't care how we started," Adrian said, his voice raw. "All I care about is how we end. And I don't want this to end without you. Without us." Her breath caught. "You mean that?" He stepped closer, taking her trembling hands into his. "I've lost before. I've lived in shadows. But with you, Clara, I see light again. Please don't walk away." The story of Clara and Adrian wasn't perfect. They faced whispers, doubts, the bitterness of Rachel's betrayal, the challenge of healing wounds from the past. But together, they built something stronger. Clara, once the forgotten sister, became the heart of a family she never thought she deserved. Adrian, once the untouchable CEO, learned that strength wasn't in walls, but in love that risked everything. And Lily? She finally had someone to tuck her in at night, someone who sang softly even when off key, someone who became more than she ever dreamed of. So if you're listening to this story today, let it remind you sometimes life begins at the very moment we think we've ruined it. Sometimes the wrong turn leads us exactly where we were meant to be. Clara wasn't supposed to be at that dinner. She wasn't supposed to catch his eye. But she did. And it changed everything. If you enjoyed this story, share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what part touched you the most. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our growing community here at Be Kind Always. Your kindness keeps this channel alive.